Welcome to the Leadership Exposé podcast. This podcast is for leaders at diverse levels and organizations around the world who are seeking to scale and transform their leadership, to level up their business, and to create an impact in the lives of people all around them. Business topics, trends, innovation, and the intersection with leadership is the focus. We enable success. I'm your host, Stephen Paul. In this episode, we meet Templeton Sawyer. He's an employment support practitioner leader with Teamwork Cooperative in Canada. We will learn about his passion on helping youth and how he advocates them to believe in themselves and increase their self-confidence through leadership and skills development programs. We will also learn about how he views the topic of inclusion, amongst other things, leadership. He's the host of Tweet the Leader in You podcast and a co-facilitator of the Teamwork's youth-focused community of practice. Welcome, Templeton. How are you doing this morning?
It's a good morning, Stephen. It's really good, sunny in Halifax, Nova Scotia this morning, and so I'm feeling good.
Wonderful. You know, Templeton, I'm actually from Canada.
What? Really? Oh, okay. This is good
well,
news.
Toronto, not Toronto. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Specific. You're not from the Atlantic part. You're out west.
Yeah. So how long have you been in Halifax?
I've been in Halifax since 2018. I moved to Canada 2016, lived in Prince Edward Island before moving to Halifax. So yeah.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about your personal and professional journey.
So I would like to say I'm an island boy. Grew up all the way in Treasure Key, Abaco, Bahamas. I'm a Bahamian, proud to be a Bahamian. My passion started through two educators, my mother, who is a principal, and my aunt, who is also an educator, but now as an executive in insurance. And they have given me passion to believe in myself. And when sometimes I had a lot of doubts, never was a person who was in academia inclined to make an honor roll. But at the end of the day, I made the least level of academics in order for me to succeed into my education. Fast forward, moving to Canada was an amazing experience, gaining a scholarship to attend Holland College in Prince Edward Island was actually a journey itself, because I had to believe in myself in order to gain that access to scholarship in that area. During that time, I pushed, I worked hard as a program administrator back home in the Bahamas for the specialized knowledge for youth e-learning program. And so with that program gave me more access to gain the scholarship and more passion to move forward. So fast forward, living in Prince Edward Island gained me access to my studies at Holland College, where I obtained my marketing and advertising diploma. There, I engaged with community, was involved greatly in the church because of our religious background back in the Bahamas. And so gaining within the community and also within the business community gave me a lot of different passion and desire to want to succeed further in community development. So back in 2018, moving to Halifax, I furthered my studies, graduating from Holland College to attend Mount Stevenson University, where I obtained my bachelor's in business marketing and minoring in nonprofit leadership. The reason why I minored in nonprofit leadership is because of the development where I wanted to go into nonprofit work. Didn't know that my life and my journey was going to end up in career development. That in itself was another journey itself of how I got into the career development field through an internship and through different areas of innovation that I actually connected directly to working with Teamwork Cooperative, which is under the government of Nova Scotia Works. And gaining throughout that, I would say young people has been across my journey, where I've had the opportunity to mentor, to coach, to carry them alongside with me as I take on different journeys of my life. And that's how I got the opportunity to create Tweet the Leader New podcast from a personal perspective. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful to hear, Templeton. So I'm keen to hear, and it's a wonderful journey that you've had. A very a few twists and turns, but it sounds like there's been a lot of adventure along the way. I'm keen to hear, and you did touch upon this, but I'm keen to hear about your focus now. Is it primarily on youth, or is it a little bit more broader than that?
So I would say young people are my passion, my passion focus. But from a broader perspective, I mentor people in general, work with other diverse people in general. So I would say, yes, young people are my passion focus, but by profession, I work with persons with disability. I work with Afrocentric individuals, Indigenous individuals. And so from a variety of target audience, I'm really interested in working with people in general. And that's what I say. Even though my passion focus is young people, I deal with all sorts of people. Yeah.
Yeah. And how does that intersect with Teamwork Cooperative, where you're at?
So Teamwork Cooperative is an organization that supports all people, all Nova Scotians, people working in Canada, to seek to help them with employment strategies, employment development, connecting them with employment and stuff like that. And so Teamwork was originally an organization that focused specifically on persons with disability. And once it shifted its mission to work with a variety of individuals, that's where we got the opportunity to connect with different people within the community. Over this past year in particular, I have been representing the organization at different tables on how we can connect with community, different areas that we've not tapped into. And when you realize that your target audience was disability, but now you're trying to reach a big, larger demographic, sometimes it's hard to do. And so that's when you go into different ways of seeking ways from other people on how to reach out. And that's why Teamwork brought me on as well, to do different working group conversations and other stuff in order to connect with the community and connect with people in general.
Yeah. So that's that's very good, and using that as a platform, and you've got your other tracks of connecting with young people. Tell us a little bit more. Do you do that work just in Halifax, or do you do that broadly across Canada, or even outside of Canada? How do you go about it?
So there's a lot of work that I do with young people outside of Canada and inside of Nova Scotia. I, of course, mentioned I focus with the community of practice, youth focused community of practice here, that was formed to help youth practitioners and people serving young people to grow and develop on how to engage. And so these are young people themselves looking for ways to serve other young people as well, and other older individuals looking to serve. And so it's a really good passion of mine to work with this community of practice to help those young people. And outside of Nova Scotia, I mentor every Saturday, high school students on helping them develop different skills and experiences, on preparing them for the workplace, also preparing them for college life, because I was afforded the opportunity. And so this is like my way of giving back to my home country in some way, but also lending my passion to serve young people in any capacity way. And being a part of different organizations, such as Del More Buddy Day Learning Institute, which is an Afrocentric institute here in Nova Scotia that supports high school students, people with color, persons with color back in the different educational system. And so supporting them and giving them access to scholarship and opportunities. So being part of that organization as a board member has afforded me to connect with different students and people with color. Yeah.
Wonderful. And what's an experience or a story you can share that comes to mind from your time in your career, as a leader, that resulted in a highly positive outcome?
I go back to my internship. I always say that that's what started me into my profession in the career development field. Being able to be a young, radical individual who is always willing to seek change or willing to want to seek change. Giving that opportunity was an amazing story for me. To have leaders within the organization who respects you and values your opinion and values your input is amazing. And so hence why my journey is the way how it is now, because of the individuals who lead our organization to seek to give me access to opportunities to moving forward. So yeah, I would say that story bubbles up from a healthy internship, a willing leadership team to allow Island Boy to innovate different stuff to help their employment journey to succeed. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
And Templeton, can you share a leadership or a personal life lesson you've learned that transformed the way you lead or operate, and how it's actually benefited others?
I would say this fresh from yesterday. I was dealing with mentoring an executive director of another organization that's supporting young people. And there was an incident that happened. And one of the things that I told her as a word of advice: when you are in leadership, you are the one who decides the way how you interact with other people. Don't allow people to dictate your personality or describe your personality out of context, because then it will put you into a weird spot where it's not your personal leadership. Yes, you are allowed to take in feedback or take in different advice of that sort. But I've learned during my leadership journey is that not every advice is a good advice. So knowing how to take the good ones and applying them to where you see fit in your journey and stuff like that. And so yeah, doing that's an amazing tip that I recently shared with an executive director yesterday doing our mentorship talk. Yeah.
That's amazing, right? Because I completely agree with you. It's about using that reasonable judgment as well, right?
Right.
In order to do that right thing. Completely in alignment with you. I mean, are there any business leaders or books that you read or follow or admire?
I always say I listen to John Maxwell. John Maxwell is the king of leadership. I call him sometimes. He's pretty good. Les Brown, individuals like themselves who have shared pathways of purpose. And one leader herself is Brene Brown. I've been following Brene Brown for quite some time because she shares the power of vulnerability and the power of displaying who you are. And her book, Dare to Lead, was what carried me through my leadership journey, because it was action thoughts of daring me to do things and to take action instead of talking about it, but do something about it in that sort. And so Brene Brown is definitely that current leader in my life. I'm listening to her podcast on my way to work and making sure that I'm inspired to lead in a vulnerability perspective.
Wonderful. And Templeton, what are some of the important topics or trends on your mind these days that impact young people whom you're dealing with, but also some of the other people that you're mentoring, business people as well? What are some of these important topics or trends that you think? That's on your mind?
Important topics that's been trending. And I go back to the recent things that are happening right now is mental health. Mental health is an important topic around supporting young people as they transition into their styles of life or wherever they transition in life. So mental health is one of them. Inclusion, being inclusive and welcoming and accommodating and hiring practices towards young people and how people view young people in the workplace and stuff like that. Yesterday, I hosted alongside my colleagues a webinar called Creating Inclusive Workplace Accommodation for Young People. And during that discussion was discussed a lot of different ways that we can welcome young people into their spaces, how to engage, how to ask, how to be open, how employers, I would say, can be open. So this segment actually was for employers themselves, and we had about 90 plus people attendance at that webinar yesterday. And last month we had the segment for service providers, people who were serving young people. And so yeah, between inclusiveness, accommodation, and mental health is one of these are several topics that are trending in my world right now with young people.
Yeah, it is. And especially during the pandemic periods, that's probably triggered a lot of it on the side of mental health.
Mm-hmm.
But that is broadly a big issue in the workplace, in the personal space.
Right.
Definitely agree with you on that one. And you also mentioned about inclusiveness and diversity with a capital D. That definitely are big topics, and I'm definitely facing the same thing as well. I'm experiencing it personally, but also hearing from other people. So it's good to hear that that's really in the forefront of many people like yourself as well.
Yeah, that's actually in the table. Diversity, I would say diversity, inclusion, and equity has been on the table of our employment centers and other organizations that I'm affiliated with. That's been the hot topic for this year, and how people are shifting policies, but also continuing to update policies and guidelines in order to accommodate. COVID has taught a lot of different changes, and so I'm happy that people are making those changes today. Yeah.
Wonderful. So let's talk a little bit more about you personally. What does a day in the life of Templeton look like?
Well, I mean, I'm a multitasker, I would say. But I wake up in the morning. A day in the life of Templeton is wake up in the morning, of course, do all the personal things that I need to do before getting ready to leave my house. Well, I do walk to work. It's like a 7-minute walk to my office, giving me the opportunity to clear my head to whatever I was thinking about since I left the house, to actually clear my mind in order to prepare for what's ahead of me in my office, get to my office, prepare, debrief with my team, go about the meetings for the day, action causes, then leave the day with thinking about a reflective thought of what did I accomplish today, and what can I accomplish or add on for tomorrow's tasks, and then walk back home to clear my brain, take off the work hat in order to put back on home's hat in order to relax and enjoy it. So that's sometimes my evenings are in board meetings for different board of directors that I sit on, or chatting or adventuring with my friends. And so, yeah, that's a day in the life with me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Wonderful. And Templeton, is there anything that you can share with us on a life lesson? What it was before, after? Yeah.
Enjoy life. One of the things I would say is I was an individual that will stay. I remember I had another job where I stayed there until 9 p.m. at night. And I would be multitasking, getting work done, working up myself and all that stuff. And so balancing was one of the things that I've learned in my life journey. Yes, you're passionate, but at the end of the day, you do not need to be a workaholic and overworking yourself. Leaving work at the time that work should be done. So I've trained myself to leave work at least, because my work is done at 4:30. So I try to either leave at 4:30 or 30 minutes after the 4:30 clock. So maybe 5 o'clock, I'll leave the office. Or sometimes if I have a meeting, then I'll stay. But I will make sure I eat, because sometimes I didn't eat. So nourishing my body, making sure that I'm taking care of myself in the middle of everything, and recognizing when enough is enough. And so I've seen myself in certain ways where if meetings go beyond the time where it was my personal time to take, I respectfully acknowledge that I had to go and enjoy the rest of my day. So that healthy balance is very important for me. One of the things I would say, I did a healthy mindset series in the month of May. And one of the things that I gathered in a nutshell is categorizing yourself in responsibilities for different projects that you want to take over. Do you want to lead? Do you want to observe? Do you want to just listen? Or do you want to just be that servant leader in a particular project or task? And so every time I accept an opportunity, I categorize myself in what is my role in each of in that responsibility. That reduces my worry, my stress on, oh, I'm always leading, which I don't want to always do. I just want to sit back, listen, give my resources, give my energy some time, and don't have like that project or task in my calendar for a few weeks or a few months, but just being that helping hand. So having that balance, healthy mindset to take care of yourself in the midst of it, and adventure. Go out and adventure. I've been adventuring for so long. If you see my Instagram page, Tyler Sawyer 2425, that Instagram page shows me kayaking, hiking, and all those other good adventures. And so like that's ways of life, taking care of your body, making sure you balance it all out, and adventure. Yeah.
Wonderful. And is that a good way to actually say that your adventure is your next business or personal adventure is spontaneous?
Oh yeah, I'm going golfing. I'm going golfing on Saturday. So that I've never been golfing, so it's gonna be my first time going golfing on Saturday, and then I'm headed off on my 3-week vacation afterwards, exploring the provinces via train, taking the train from Halifax to Toronto, and then joining my family who's coming from Bahamas to have some fun time with them. So yeah.
Wonderful. And do you go back to the Bahamas often?
Oh yes, I go back home every Christmas. I have to spend some time with my family every Christmas. I always want to stay to see what a Canadian winter Christmas is all about. But I say, you know what, I can see it in January and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be on Christmas Day. But yeah, I go home every Christmas to spend some time with my family. Yeah.
Wonderful. Templeton, we're coming to close very shortly. Is there anything that you'd like to share from a closing messages perspective, any challenge to other leaders, to young people or board leaders or business leaders on life, leadership, key lessons, anything that you'd like to share or challenge them?
Be you. Be you. Remember your why. Remember your why you started, why you journeyed off from the first place. Because sometimes leaders forget as they continue to grow and get huge successes, huge accomplishments, and huge achievements, they forget that why. So remember your why throughout the journey. And my why is always back home, where I started with helping young people from a humble beginning, where I didn't have the money I'm making now, where I didn't have the opportunities that I'm doing right now. Remembering that journey that you have started that gave you the passion to continue to move forward. And in the midst of everything that you feel like giving up some time, remember those whys and those little moments of your life to continue to build your strength. Yep.
Wise words from Templeton. Thank you very much for being with us today and sharing your journey. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, folks, thank you very much for listening in, and stay tuned for our next episode with another great leader who will be sharing her journey on the areas of neuroscience and artificial intelligence. Stay tuned. Thank you very much and have a